You are listening to the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Welcome to episode 19, Your Works Are Not Your Worth, Parenting Doubt with Emily Wardrop. As the Drop the War life coach, Emily knows exactly how doubt creeps into our lives as parents. In her work with moms of young kiddos, her goal, in her words, is for moms to believe they are a good mom. Listen to find out how you can decide on purpose that you are a good mom. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. I'm Megan Skidmore, your host, and I have a second guest with me. I'm just rolling along with having guests. I'm loving it. Today, I have Emily Wardrop. Did I say it correctly? Okay,
Yep.
with me. And I am thrilled to have you here on the podcast today. Would you
Thank you.
introduce yourself to our
Yeah.
guests?
Thanks for having me. I am Emily Wardrop from Drop the War Life Coaching. Play on my last name there. And
Love
I help
it.
moms of young kids drop power struggle wars to create peace in their parenting. Actually, I help anybody with anything, right? But I also well, I'm a mom of 5 littles still myself, which is why I want to coach other moms in the thick of it, as they like to say, with our hands full. Oh, you have your hands full. So I have 5 kids. 2 of them have type 1 diabetes. So I especially love coaching T1D moms, I call us. And I just got into coaching because I always wanted to be a mom. But once I was, it was like my happily ever after didn't feel like my dream come true. It felt like a nightmare sometimes. I was like, what is happening? Why do I feel so terrible all the time? I'm living, this is my dream. Why is, it not what I expected? So that's when I found coaching. It really helped me a lot. And then as the natural transition goes, then we want to help other people in the area where it helped us. So that's what I do. And what else? Okay.
That's a great intro. That's a great intro. You said something. I'd love to dig a little deeper. You said in the beginning, before you found coaching, sometimes this new adventure of motherhood felt like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I think that's really brave of you to be able to come and say that out loud in a public setting. Not everybody is in a place where they feel comfortable admitting that this is not what I thought it was going to be. There's
Especially when we're kind of cultured to want to be moms and that we should be finding fulfillment in motherhood and all the things. So
right. We have a certain expectation of something. And then when the reality of that hits, right, it can knock you off your feet. It can be a shock, right? And for me, I've said before on this podcast, but just quick review. I'm a mom of a LGBTQ kiddo, and having been raised in the LDS faith, lifelong conservative Christian faith, that brought up a lot of cognitive dissonance for me when I realized, my expectations, my beliefs, the things that I had been taught was very much not matching up with the lived experience that I personally was experiencing with my kiddo.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for me, that's when I really started to have questions and doubts. I think I even at that time probably realized that there were always things that I didn't fully grasp or understand, or weren't clear to me. But I believe that's when I really began to give myself permission to have them, to allow them, that it's okay. It's human, actually, to just realize this doesn't make sense to me. I have a question about this. And doubts, doubt can be used as a noun or a verb. And as a verb, it's to be uncertain. What's wrong with that? Right? There's nothing wrong with being uncertain. So can you think of a time where you had any type of a wrestle or a struggle, particularly as a young mom, where you resisted allowing your that human side, admitting, okay, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I thought it would be. This is harder than I thought.
Yeah. So obviously, in your case, it might be a little bit more, I don't know, bigger or dramatic, but I think in every case of motherhood, like all of our kids are not what we expected, probably, And so when I have a kid who can't even sit still at a restaurant, is like bouncing off the walls at church, is like, I'm like, I thought kids would just sit on the pew and like fold their arms and color in their little books or be quiet or whatever. And it's like they're knocking tables, like still. It's so mayhem. We sit on the very last row of church and it's like, this is not what I expected. This is not what I pictured. This is not my life. Like, what is happening here? And so that resistance to reality and just really just the expectation, that we place on ourselves and on our kids when we realize, there's that gap between the expectation and reality that makes us disappointed and frustrated and all the things. So what really happened in my journey was I think I started parenting with this thought, like, I don't know what I'm doing, because I was always like looking for outside sources to tell me how to raise these kids. So I was reading books and blogs, and when podcasts came on the scene, listening to all the things, and doing all this stuff to try to figure out how to do this. But all the different books would tell me different things. And so when you talk about questions or doubts, it's like I was just kind of more and more confused, looking for answers outside of me. And not until I finally was empowered to know that I have the answers within me. These are my kids that God gave me. He knows me. He knows them. He knows what's best for us. And I just have to look inward for the answers instead of outward, and just getting more confused. Then I could, just kind of get more clarity, and not.
I love that, because I don't think that is something that is stressed often enough. That's my personal opinion. I would love to know more, like your journey to. Can you remember how or why you finally gave yourself permission to trust you?
Well, so my sister had like 6 kids before I had any. So I would read a book and I'd read another book and they would contradict each other. So I'd call my sister, right? And be like, what am I supposed to do? And she would always tell me, just throw that book away. Like, she was really good at this. And I think my mom's really good at this too. They're just like naturally confident, I think is what it is just confidence, right? That like, I got this. And for some reason, I didn't think that I got this. Like, I needed somebody else to tell me what to do. And so she told me to stop listening to people telling me what to do, essentially, And I didn't listen to her, and I kept reading the books and getting freaked out about stuff and calling her back. And she's like, no, literally throw that book in the garbage. Stop reading that. It was like a breastfeeding book, I think. And so, of course, when you read in the book that it's supposed to go like this, but in reality, it's not going like that, then you start believing that you're a terrible mom. And so as I just nurtured that lie, right, then it just got even worse, because then there's sleep training, and then there's, like all the things. And I always say, like, the experts are well-meaning, they're trying to help, but I just used all their help against myself. Like, everything they were telling me how you're supposed to do it, I made it mean I was doing it wrong and that I was a terrible mom. So not until it was actually a life coach, of course, that helped me empower me to listen more into my own intuition. And then I almost went down this rabbit hole of intuition. I was like, ooh, this is cool. What's this about? And then another coach was calling it following the Holy Ghost. And I was like, oh yeah, I know how to do that.
Right.
And so I realized, like, the confidence came from, like, I know how to listen to the Holy Ghost. Oh, that applies to parenting too. Interesting. And
that's such a great point. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
But we can call it's the same thing, but it's really great to recognize that it's that same source, right?
Yeah.
Bringing from within. And, I love how I'm guessing you just had to try, right? You just had to initially try something, whether it was breastfeeding, whether it was sleeping habits, whatever. You just have to take that step, that very first one, and try and see what you get. I think the fear of failure can often hold us back.
Yeah, for sure. And to just believe that there is no failing. Like you just do things and they have results. It's
Right.
like there's no right or wrong way to parent. That's like a mantra that I'm
Yeah.
often repeating, you know.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just a way you choose to do it. And then you can learn from that and do it differently if
Exactly.
you want next time, but it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Making ourselves wrong just piles on the shame, which I know you're all about peeling off the shame. And
Yes.
so one way that I found that helps peel the shame is that I'm not doing it wrong. I'm not wrong, right? So can I go on a tangent about shame real quick? Because I love
Yeah,
talking about that.
please do. I do love to talk about shame. Yes, I'm a Brene Brown fan for sure.
Yeah. So I really like, well, hold on. First, let me tell you, since we're talking about my story and the progression of what really made the difference finally was like that missing piece I felt like was identity work, like knowing who I am inherently and believing. And that's why my podcast is called Believe You Are a Good Mom, because we all are good. God made us. He said it is very good, right? He, God is good. He made us. We're good. The end, you know? And then we come down here to earth and we have these mortal limitations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So guilt, I think, is great because guilt shows we feel that dissonance between who we really are and what we just did. So no matter what we do a bunch of stuff that's not good, but that doesn't mean we're not good. So when I feel guilt, I'm like, oh, I did something that wasn't good. And that's proof that I am good because I feel bad about doing something
Mm-hmm.
not good. Right.
Yeah.
And so guilt, a healthy amount of guilt is great, but then it sours into shame, which is the lie that says there's something wrong with me. So there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with me because I am good. God made me and I'm good. And I did something bad. And that's fine. Like I can repent for that and change. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my kids,
Right. Your
nothing wrong with
inherent
me.
worth isn't
Yeah.
affected.
And that's how I peel off the shame is just remembering. And you have to constantly
Yeah.
remind yourself all day long
I'm sure
of who we are.
in your area of coaching that you get parents um, who sometimes their shame is a source of them reflecting their, how their child or children, how they are behaving, the choices that they're making, and so on, making it a reflection of
Yeah,
them.
exactly. So my number one tip to keep your sanity with littles in the house,
Okay.
that's one of my
Tell us.
freebies,
Okay, tell
is
us.
there is no mommy report card. So we think that what they're doing is going to reflect badly on our report card, right? Like my kids are out of control in the back row of church means that I'm a terrible mom. Like that's how the equation goes in our brain, but that's a lie. It just doesn't. Like kids have their own agency. They are their own people. They are who they are and they're good. We're good. And we're all a mess because we're all humans doing the best we can. And so as far as
Glad we
actually,
got that straight. We're
right?
all a mess.
We're all a mess and we are good. Like eternally, who we are is good. And we're on this earth in order to learn and progress and grow. And that doesn't happen if we remember who we were, you know? Sometimes I feel like it's cheating, like to peel back the curtain and remember who I was, like the veil. I'm like, oh, yeah. Because now it's easy to be a good mom when I believe that I am a good mom. But when I'm like,
Love that.
beating myself up
I
that
love
I'm a
that.
terrible mom, all that turns out in the model, right, is
Mhm.
more terrible mom in the result line. So I
And I think also, Emily, if you are making whatever, choices that your kids are making, if you're making it mean something about you,
yeah,
I think the danger there is then your focus has shifted from
yes.
helping your kiddo to your own self.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just keep going back to this example. If my kid's pitching a fit in the back of church and I'm so embarrassed because he's making that me look bad, right? Then I don't even care what he's pitching the fit about or trying to help him out. I'm just like so embarrassed. And so, yeah, it's for sure. It's a shift in perspective that it's fine. Like he's having a hard time. He's not giving me a hard time. He's not trying to embarrass me. It's not about me at all. He's, probably wants the toy that the other kid is playing with and they won't give it to him and whatever. There's like a conflict I could go help resolve, or I can just sit here in my own little shame bubble, like being so embarrassed that they're pitching a fit in church. And so another thing I was just thinking as far as, because you said to me before we hit record, like it's it maybe we can believe that about our kids' choices, right? They have agency. They can make choices. It doesn't reflect on us. They, especially as they get older, it's easier to believe that, because when they're little, we feel like we're supposed to control them, make them behave. And if we can't do that, then we're a bad mom,
Right.
which I don't believe
Right.
any of that. I think at any age, they have their agency and it
Same.
reflects on them, not on us. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
But as far as, being a Q plus mom, you're like, this is not a choice, and
Yeah.
I actually, because I coach moms that their kids have type 1 diabetes, like they did not choose to get this, disease or whatever. They have this thing that's just part of who they are now, and our relationship with the diabetes or with the, gender or sexual
Mm-hmm.
orientation or whatever it is, it's like, really makes a difference in our relationship with the kid.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's not a choice, it's just like, I don't know if that's helpful or not to look at it like diabetes or something like that, where it's just a condition. I mean, not a
Well,
condition that they have
no,
in
I,
that
I
way, but
understand exactly what you're saying. I do. It's the way I like to view it and encourage my parent clients that I work with is it's a small part of who they are.
yeah.
Not small. What I mean is it's a part of who they are. It isn't everything
Mm-hmm.
about who they are. And yes, it it's going to show up in their gifts, their talents, their abilities, their skills. Just like I'm sure, having two kiddos with type 1 diabetes, I mean, that living with that, is going to influence who they are as a person. I'm going to guess they're going to grow up maybe a little more sensitive to those who have, built in health,
Differences.
physical,
Yeah.
yeah, differences. Yes, that's a good way
Yeah,
to put it.
exactly. So it's a part of who they are. And I see that in other T1D moms, that they make it everything,
Uh-huh.
that like they basically don't live a life outside of diabetes. It's like it's everything. And it's easy to consume like that because literally every 5 minutes you get a little read on a monitor that tells you where their blood sugar's at. And again, there's no mommy report card, but that monitor sure looks like there is. Like the blood's supposed to stay in range and you're failing all the time. It looks like a roller coaster instead of like a wave. And but really, because you can get so consumed in every 5 minutes, there's a new grade on your
Yeah.
report card. But really, they're just a child and they can live their life, or even an adult, however old they are. And it doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to define who they are, because again, all of us are good. Like at the core, at the bottom, no matter what all the other layers of identity we put on top of ourselves, we just are sons and daughters of God. And we learn that in primary, and we might believe it then. And then we need to be reminded in young women's, because we start to
Absolutely.
forget that we're beloved daughters of heavenly parents who love us. But I think when we start to forget is when we make mistakes. And it's like, when did we ever like lose our identity as a son or daughter of God just because we made a mistake? That doesn't
Well,
make
I
any
I think a
sense.
lot of it comes back to when you were talking about when we start looking externally
Mm-hmm.
for validation. I think you were specifically talking about parenting in general, but I think that applies
We
here.
do it with everything. Yeah.
When we're looking for external validation of who we are or what we're doing, we're always going to come up short because then we're defining ourselves on something that's very variable.
Yeah.
Versus looking inward, like you talked about earlier, because that, our worth, that's unchanging.
Yeah.
That's always there.
Yeah. And so when you talk about having doubts or questions, going inside to our inner knowledge, we know the answer to everything already. We just have to tap in and
Mm-hmm.
find those answers. We just get more and more confused as we look outward with our doubts.
That is so true. And I think another element that's really important to consider in this is our ability to love ourselves first, because I truly believe they're all connected, right? If we trust ourselves, we know of our inherent worth, we love ourselves, all of those things, right? We're looking inward
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to define
definitely.
ourselves versus
Because if we're
outward.
looking, yeah, if we're looking to unconditionally love our kids, but we can't love ourselves,
Yep.
we just don't even know how. We're just used to listening to our own internal dialogue, beating ourselves up And then we're expected to just outwardly be kind and loving to other people. Like, it doesn't even make sense. The
One
brain
thing,
science doesn't make
yeah, it
sense there.
doesn't. One thing I remember that didn't occur to me so much before coaching was introduced into my life is I really thought about that scripture that teaches us the first great commandment is to love God with all your heart, and the second is like unto it, to love thy neighbor as thyself. It occurred to me, if we're not able to love ourselves first, we're not going to be able to do the other two. We're not going to be able to love our fellow man and to love God. It's it's this beautiful tapestry, how they're connected, but it all starts from within.
Yeah. Well, and also it's easy to love someone who loves you. So I've found that the easiest way to love God is to pray and receive his love for me. So when I'm praying and I'm asking him questions, the first thing he always reminds me is that he loves me. And who doesn't love somebody who loves them, right? And so that one's easy. Okay, yeah, I love God too. But then he says, if you let me keep my commandments, or, love others or love yourself, it gets a little bit trickier because others can't unconditionally love us the way he does. And we sometimes put conditions on feeling his love because we're so human that we don't understand unconditional love, and we think that he's disappointed in us too, or he's mad at us so he doesn't love us, the way kids misunderstand us. If I get mad at my kid, they interpret that as mommy hates me. Of course I don't hate you, I'm just feeling an emotion and I don't know how to deal with it. I'm sorry I took it out on you, but of course I love you more than anything, and I'm upset. I'm upset doesn't mean I hate you. And same with God, right? Like, maybe he has, some godly type of anger or whatever. I don't understand his emotions, but as a symbol, I think it kind of, as a metaphor, it probably works.
I'm pretty sure God can handle any emotion that
exactly
we bring to the table.
Yeah. And so I meant like if he's angry about something, because that's what we think, right? If we break a commandment, that means he's disappointed in us. He's mad at us. Like we're a terrible mom, whatever, because we did something bad. But just like we love our kids, even if we're mad about what they did, we know they're a good kid. They just did, they have big emotions. They don't know how to handle it.
I think that's a really great connection right there. Is I think our kids are going to learn more about God through their relationship with us, where their first experience with a parent, right? Someone in front of them. And so, I think that unconditional love piece is really important.
Yeah, that's where our misunderstanding of God's nature comes from, is that we associate him with our imperfect parents, and he's not.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very
but
different.
It's all part of the plan. He designed it all this way for us to learn and grow.
Well, your clients are very lucky to have you. If there was one thing that you would want our listeners to know about anything having to do with your work as a coach, maybe your role as a parent, even, in your own spiritual journey. Obviously, this podcast originated, because of some of the spiritual pivots, detours, whatever that came up for me in my life. What is one thing that you would want to share?
Well, I think it's kind of, we've sort of touched on it, but just to really nail in the point that our worth does not come from our works. So our worth does not come from our productivity. Our worth does not decrease when we do bad things. Our worth just is. And that's what I mean by you are a good mom, no matter what you're doing or not doing, or how your kids look, or how they behave, or how your house looks, or, whatever. Like, all of that is important and we work on that. But until you really believe that you are good no matter what, then you just don't get leverage in changing all of that. And we all know how that feels, where we're spinning our wheels trying to willpower our action line, right? Like trying to change something that we're doing or not doing. But if we don't have that thought feeling dialed in, if we're still thinking I'm a terrible mom and feeling frustrated as the fuel, we're not ever going to change.
Yeah, you're disconnected from the other.
And people always say, well, doesn't that just take me off the hook? I'm like, You are off the hook. I'm off the hook. I love being off the hook. Like, who wants to be on a hook? You know, why do we think that we need to be on, like, yes, let
Yeah,
yourself off the hook and then you will be the mom you've always been. It's who you are. And
yeah.
we're just staying in our own way by
I
these
love
negative
that.
self-talk circles.
Yeah.
So
Of course, we don't want to be on the hook.
that's right. We're all off the hook. Let's just enjoy it. Yeah.
That is a great saying. I love that. Our worth is not our works.
Yeah.
I love that.
You
I'm
can't increase it or decrease it by what you do or don't
tucking
do.
that one away.
Yeah. And God's love, same thing. Like, you can't decrease his love for you because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
If anything, he's perfectly compassionate to help you.
Right.
And
Right. And chances are it was more of an inadvertent thing. Just depends. But again, it goes back to what you've already said is it's probably an opportunity to learn and just move on.
Yep.
So just for fun,
Mhm.
in closing, do you have a favorite book?
Well,
Just
as far as
one short
parenting,
answers is
quick
great.
answers. Okay.
Yeah.
Happiest Baby on the Block
Okay.
is the parenting book that it's okay to read and follow, like the
Okay.
scriptures.
Awesome. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Extrovert.
Okay. What about your favorite artist?
Oh, like painting artist?
Any of it.
Any
You fill in the
artist.
blank. Yeah.
Oh, oh gosh.
Could be music. Could be.
I have so many that I'm like judging. I'm like, wait, I can't say that. Can't say that. One of my first was Madonna, so I'll just go with it.
I love it. She has some good ones. Are you a night owl or a lark?
Ooh, I'm in transition. I've recently become a morning person, which I never thought I
Okay.
would say that.
Okay. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Johnny Depp was always of interest.
Okay. That's awesome. Pepsi or Coke?
Neither. I'm a kosher Mormon with no caffeine.
Okay. Hilarious. What about the furthest place you've traveled?
China?
Fun. Did you see the Great Wall?
I did, yeah.
That's
Couple
great.
different
That's on my
places.
bucket list.
Oh, fun. It's fun.
All right. Tell our listeners where they can reach you, how they can connect with you, and if you have any free offers that you'd like to share with them.
Yeah, so my website is dropthewar.com. Everything's kind of housed there. There's Drop the War Life Coach on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And right now, what I'm doing is really fun relationship boost calls, is what I call it, an RBC, relationship boost call.
Okay.
So all you do is you get on a free Zoom chat with me and just come with somebody in mind that you want to boost the relationship. So in just 15 to 20 minutes, you'll get off the call feeling much better about that relationship. So those are really fun.
Sweet. What an opportunity. Okay. I love it.
And
All
so
right.
you can go to dropthewar.com/appointments for all my different offers. But that one is super fun. So
That is great. I love it. Well, thanks, Emily.
yes, thank you. It's
Yeah.
an honor to be here. Super
Loved
fun.
having you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please send any thoughts about today's episode to hello@meganskidmorecoaching.com. I am a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, found at dialoguejournal.com/podcast network. The Dialogue Podcast Network is a part of the Dialogue Journal. The Dialogue Journal, a journal of Mormon thought, was began in 1966 by Eugene England, a Mormon writer, teacher, and scholar. Also, it's not too late to catch the free content from the LDS Life Coach Summit, Courageous Discipleship. You can access it for free on February 21st and 22nd. Go to my website, meganskidmorecoaching.com, click on the Work With Me button at the top. I interview Ben Shalati on February 21st, and on February 22nd, I present the topic, How Using Your Child's Preferred Name and Pronouns is Being Christ-like. You can download my free Pronouns 101 guide, also on my website. Click on the same Work With Me button, and you'll see the link to the free guide. I really appreciate you being here. Until next time.